Okay, people, let's start at the beginning. My name's Aaron Talks Films. I decided to make a YouTube channel. I've made a couple of videos, and hopefully one day I'm going to be able to do this full time and for a living. In case you haven't guessed it from that amazing introduction there, I've just seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and spoiler alert, I loved it. It was an absolutely amazing movie, maybe very close to being one of the best Spider-Man movies ever made. My favourite is still Spider-Man Homecoming, but this movie definitely is right up there and tops everything that we've seen on screen so far. I wasn't really excited about going into this movie. All the trailers that I'd seen and all the TV spots, there was just a little something about it that I wasn't too keen on. I think mainly it was the animation style and the weird kind of body structure of the characters. I wasn't too keen. I wasn't really invested in going to see it, but I'm glad I did. Very I went in with very low expectations, but I came out absolutely astounded, and I'm so glad I saw this movie. Some of the great things that I really liked about it is, well, one of them straight away is that animation. When you actually see it on the big screen and in motion, it's really good. It's got a very comic book feel to it. It's got a very stylized way about it that I really enjoyed. They had a lot of thought bubbles and the little boxes up in the top corner, and every time they kind of made an action, the little lines would move, or whenever they flipped their webs, you actually, the word flip would just show up every now and again, and it really took me into it. It really made me feel a lot more comfortable watching it, and it didn't give me so much of a headache like I thought I was going into this movie. I thought the whole thing was just going to kind of make me queasy and uneasy, but as soon as it started, I completely forgot about all of that, and I really got into it, and it made me feel like a kid again when you're watching one of these big animated movies, and how good it is, and how it really just makes you feel good altogether. Now, I did reference those the earlier Sam Raimi movies, Spider-Man movies. They are referenced in this movie. It's a slight spoiler, but it's more of a quick clip show. You actually see it in one of the trailers. They reference a lot of it when Spider-Man is talking about himself and his universe, one of the Peter Parkers. They actually show a few clips from those movies, and I thought it was quite funny. I thought it was quite genius, really, the way they're working it into all of that, because it's still a Sony-owned property, essentially. This movie is from Sony. It's not a Marvel movie, so it's quite funny to see the way they reference it in there, because this is, if you wasn't aware, this is a movie about multiple different Spider-Man and Spider-Man universes, so it was nice to see them all kind of littered in there. They showed the upside down kiss from Spider-Man 1. They showed the train stop from Spider-Man 2. That was quite good, and the taxi throw through the window of the coffee shop in Spider-Man 2. It's a split second, but it's very good, and it makes you go, oh yeah, I remember that, and how good that scene was at the time, and you kind of getting a little reminder, and it's nice, that little nod that they gave to the previous movies. One of the other little things that they put into this movie that I thought was quite funny and very, very different to anything I'd seen before. I'm not sure if they've done this in the comic books or in any other kind of Spider-Man media before, but slight spoiler, just to let you know, the multiple Spider-Men go to Peter Parker's house, the original Peter Parker, go into his back garden. They find a shed, and when they go into the shed, it takes you underground, and there's a big kind of Batcave-esque spider cave with all of his suits and different technology, and I thought that was really good. I thought it was really interesting. Again, if it has been introduced before, I look like a bit of a fool, but I thought it was good. It made me sort of, it made me laugh a little bit, because I thought It was funny. It was. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be funny, but it made me laugh anyway, and I thought it was quite good. As for the story, the main bulk of the story is centered around Miles Morales, who is voiced by Shameik Moore. I wrote that down so I didn't get that wrong. He has a really good, unique voice. He really does sound like a 12, 13-year-old. I know he's not, he's a grown man, but his kind of youthfulness in his voice really makes you feel for that character and really makes you, I was going to say fall in love with this character, not in a weird way, but you do really connect with this character, and it's really nice. And yeah, like I say, the whole story revolves around him getting bitten by one of the same radioactive spiders that bit the original Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and how he deals with his changes. Obviously, in the comics, it is a correlation between puberty and the way you sort of go through these changes, but obviously he's a much younger man, so it kind of, it's hard for him to understand what is going on because he's not sure if it is puberty or if it is actually all these changes that are coming about. But he begins to learn his powers and what he can do, and he grows as a man and as Spider-Man, and spoiler alert, eventually he does become what he needs to become. Some of the other voices that I really enjoyed, again, I wrote them down so I don't get any of them wrong, so you will see me look down at my notes. Jake Johnson, who I've seen in multiple movies, and I think he's a funny actor. I think he's great. He voiced all the versions of Peter Parker from the different universes. He was great. Again, another unique voice that really draws you into that character and makes you just, again, connect with them and really just draws you into the film. Hailee Steinfeld is an up and coming actress. She's going to be everywhere lately. She voices Spider-Gwen Stacy. She was absolutely amazing. Liev Schreiber, who voiced Kingpin, I knew he was Kingpin going into this, but when I first heard Kingpin talk, for a little while I couldn't quite place the voice, even though I knew it was him, because he does such a good job of conveying that big comic booky sort of style voice that you'd expect the Kingpin to have, and I thought it was great. Like, it really is a different voice to what you're used to with Liev Schreiber, and I thought it was absolutely amazing. The character of Kingpin himself, in the comic books, he is comically large, he's very wide, and in this they really play on that. He has no neck, and he's as wide as a bus, he's just a big menacing presence, and it was really good to see. Mahershala Ali, who played the Ultimate Prowler, was great. I loved his voice. John Mulaney, who voiced Spider-Ham, the very much comic. This whole film has comedy moments, but Spider-Ham was very much the comic relief of this movie. He threw a few little gags in there that really made you chuckle, and it was really good to hear. And my favourite, Nicolas Cage as Spider-Man Noir. I absolutely adore Nicolas Cage. I'm so glad he was in this movie. His character is very stoic, and he's from the 1930s, so he's going to be very stoic, and he's just very macho, but his voice just lends so well to that character, and I really enjoyed it. I just really thought it was a good fit. So I'm not going to go too much into the story. I think I've spoiled a few little bits that I shouldn't really have done, but I definitely recommend going out and seeing this movie. Like I say, it's one of the best Spider-Man movies that we have ever seen, and yet all round, just definitely go out and see it. It's absolutely amazing. I adored it. I really want to go and see it again. I actually saw it in 3D, and usually I don't enjoy that so much, but this movie really does well with 3D. So if you can, definitely watch it with those glasses on. I think it will be worth it. Again, great movie. You should definitely go out and see it. I am definitely going to go out and see it again myself, and I've said definitely maybe 300 definitely times. So yeah, great movie, great characters, great actors, great voices, just great story as well. It is, and there's little teasers in there, and they've already said they're going to do a sequel and a spin-off with all the women. I can't wait for those. I'm definitely going to go and watch them. Definitely. Thank you for watching. Feel free to leave a comment down below, like or subscribe to this channel. I've been Aaron Talks Films. Thank you for watching.
Come on. How many more spider people are there?
Save it for Comic-Con.
What's Comic-Con?
Let's go!